Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Book Roundup. We've made it most of the way through this week's roundup, including and managed to cover all of this week's Marvel books. Now it's time to move on to this week's DC books. Kicking things off, we've got Batman Urban Legends number 4. As this is an anthology series, a recap issue by issue isn't exactly necessary. So, as per usual, we've got 4 stories. The first up is Enter the Abyss by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, focusing on Batman. Cullen Rowe is reflecting on a recent encounter with an attractive young man. Afterwards, he was heading home, went to stopped in a convenience store, get a water, and vanished. Batman is investigating. There have been multiple disappearances in town, in Gotham. It should be noted this story takes place, I would likely say during the Rebirth era, as one, given Batman's costume, and two, given the fact that Alfred's still alive. Alfred has taken a liberty of including the various anti-vampire, or of having the anti-vampire loadout in the bat suit. Does some investigating. Comes upon a young woman named Jane Smith. Jane has a tale to tell. She's not a vampire, after all. She was born in shadow. She managed to get out of the shadow into what is now Gotham. She lived in Gotham and has lived in Gotham for centuries. The Dark Garden followed, however, and for all those with darkness in their heart who encounter a being like her, they're vulnerable to its spell, and anyone she sees or speaks with, anyone she loves, is taken back to the Dark Garden as her place. But she's kind of safeguarding the entrance to the Dark Garden, making sure no one else stumbles upon it. She takes Batman there. Batman is pulled in. Jane follows. Cullen Rowe is discovered and freed. Batman faces some of his darkness, though it's kind of, hey, I face the darkness in me all the time. This is no big. He utilizes some of the elements of the vampire loadout to enable an escape. And Jane, however, cannot escape again, but she states that she tells the Dark Garden that this is empty soil and she is a seed. But those surviving who've been kidnapped, who were taken, are returned home, and all's well that ends well. It's stated that this is to be continued in Batman Beyond Neo-Gothic. Next up is Stormwatch Down at the Kings Part 4. Where we left off, well, night terrors had gone into effect. Everyone on Stormwatch had fallen asleep in Clark's, and they're now facing their nightmares. The worst of these is Flint facing recriminations from previous members of Stormwatch about what Storm, kind of the idea of that what they're doing is wrong. What Stormwatch is doing is wrong. Core is turning into an infant, but everyone eventually everyone is able to escape. Phantom One is able to explain, kind of kind of in a similar manner of, this is what kind of, oh, Nightmare Realm, big whoop, been through worse. Phantom One also giving fun and pep talks, explaining that this Nightmare Realm, it lies. Around the time that they get it, before they leave, Core is reverted to a fetus and eventually ceases to be, managing to wake everyone up. Core being back as well. The team returns to Skywatch, and Flint looks at a picture of her family before going to speak to Director Bones, wanting to know just who it is that Stormwatch is really working for. Our next story, Harcourt, Second Life, Part 1. So, if you've seen either James Gunn's Suicide Squad or the Peacemaker series, you may recall there was a character introduced in those named Amelia Harcourt. She works for Amanda Waller. She was an original creation for Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, and now she is being introduced into the DC Comics. So she's in Opal City. She knows that she was dead, and she's come back, but she is approaching what is basically an underworld hangout, a top secret underworld hangout in Opal City, unarmed. However, she has developed powers, and she wants to find out just who it was that killed her. There's a bit of a flashback to her childhood, as well as her resurrection from a Lazarus pit by Amanda Waller. And with Waller stating that Harcourt works for her now. Explaining that Harcourt works for her, or follows her orders, or Waller sends her back to whatever hell she was suffering in. Adding that Waller needs someone in the field to follow some of her more difficult orders. However, before sending Harcourt out to the field, Waller gives her the address of where she'll find the man who killed her. And that is where Part 1 ends. Brings us to our final story, My Family, which is this issue's black and white one. Hush and Bane have teamed up and are wrecking Gotham. The entire Bat family's arrayed against them. But Batman is badly injured. Took a pretty hard punch from Bane. Heart rate is fading. But first he's walked through, he kind of has to help his younger self with, getting past the trauma of the death of his parents. While this is going on, the rest of the Bat family are kind of regathering their strength and resolve to take on Hush and Bane. But Batman manages to come to, just after Hush and Bane have been defeated. And that is where the issue ends. I like they're bringing Harcourt into the DCU, the overall DCU. This issue does also kind of seem to point to the concept that Stormwatch will be a regular feature in Brave and the Bold, not Urban Legends. Urban Legends is the last Batman anthology book. I kind of wish that wasn't the case, just because I'd prefer Stormwatch to get its own book. But it's better than just popping up occasionally in guest appearances, so I'll take it. Moving on to our next book, we've got Unstoppable Doom Patrol, number 5. Where we left off, well, the Doom Patrol is basically acting as a support group, as a means of supporting, helping, is acting to help those with superhumans that maybe don't have the easiest time controlling their powers. Though this has them on the this has garnered them an enemy in the U.S. government, and whatever abbreviated organization that Peacemaker works for. That said, Niles Caulder is no longer the chief, but rather Alice. I believe it's Alice. So, New Poplar, Illinois, Robot Man and Rita Farr drop down onto the street from the Doom Patrol's airship. Turns out that the entire town is a front. Niles, so Dr. Calder, the chief, and Degenerate basically take advantage of the fact that Rita and Cliff are distracting the rest of the town. Degenerate, however, rips through a door and discovers that that was the plan. Apparently, the Metagen Corporation the town is basically their factory floor. But the Robot Man and Rita discover that the townsfolk they're dealing with are not exactly regular people. Elsewhere, General Mortis is gathering forth the new Brotherhood of Evil with Mala's aid. And the head of Metagen is basically stating that it is Brian McLean, CEO of Metagen Corporation, fourth richest man on the world, or on the planet, and he wants to hire Niles Caulder, explaining that Calder's catastrophe theory is what inspired Metagen. Niles explains that those ideas came after a psychotic break while suffering from his own trauma, not something that he's proud of. But at Metagen, they decided to take the macro idea and apply it to the micro by using Calder's nanotech designs along with the genetic assets that they've harvested. They've been applying controlled catastrophe theory to the human genome. creating their own metagenes inside of people who lack them, building made-to-order designer metahumans. The first prototype is Meta-Woman, and she's sent out against Robot Man, the Negative Spirit, and Rita Farr. She's able to knock Robot Man for a while, but and is also able to knock Rita on her ass. However, there's a slight problem. Her metagene is adaptable. It adapts to what's around her, and there's too much around her, so the metagene starts adapting all at once, and yeah. But Niles has managed to free the Chief and Degenerate. Turns out that the CEO isn't even present, but rather using a robot, which Degenerate destroys. And it's pointed out that they have company as military led by Peacemaker has arrived. And well, the military who funds Metagen. And so, as the military deals with the remains of Meta-Woman, the Doom Patrol skip town. That is where the issue ends. I'm loving this book. It's honestly been just a great ride. In many ways, it feels very similar to Grant Morrison's run. I would say, at least for the moment, not as cerebral, but still a good follow-up, I'd say. Moving on to our next book, we have The Penguin, #1. Let's just take a moment to soak in that Brian Boland cover. So, previously with the Penguin faked his death. And as an added bonus, he even got to pin it on Batman. His death, that is. And Oswald Cobblepot relocated from Gotham to Metropolis, where he opened a flower shop. This was discovered by Selina Kyle when she was searching for the Penguin's heirs. And she's she's not going to send it. No, she's going to send. She's not going to tell Batman. Oh yeah, so Oswald's still alive and he's up in Metropolis running a flower shop. Nor is she going to, or it's not going to get broadcast to anyone who might cause problems for Oswald. That said, Selina has since told Bruce that, yeah, Oswald's still alive. But he kind of just, okay, fine. He's still alive. He's not causing problems. So the issue begins with a flash forward to a year the Gotham River. Batmobile is sinking with Batman and Penguin inside. Batman's been shot. Bullet was lodged in his rib cage and has since moved into his lung. Penguin is also seemingly injured and is at this point aware that Batman is Bruce Wayne. Also, the Batmobile's backups aren't working. Now, in Metropolis, a year earlier, that Oswald Cobblepot is, or Mr. Cobb, is visiting the tailor, as he does the first of the month, getting a new suit. The tailor's making small talk, but realizes, but he states that it seems that Mr. Cobb's lost weight and backpedals apologizes profusely, and Penguin goes on about his routine. Gets the new issue of the new copy of the Planet. Gets a hot dog. Goes to the park, reads the paper, eats part of his hot dog, and feeds the rest of the birds. This time, however, he ends up being accosted by a Metropolis cop off duty who is rather insulting to Mr. Cobb. It should also be noted that Collapod is being watched. Later that evening, Oswald's at home, and his girlfriend arrives home late from the hospital. She's a surgeon. She thinks back on a moment when he actually scared her. But noting that he's never, and it was a reaction, as he states that voice is soft and cracked, like a boy exhausted from opening all his Christmas presents. She used to tease him about how much of this child inside him liked to sneak out. Something he'd never laugh at, though he usually laughed at everything else. And then eventually she asked why, and he took a breath and his face changed. Slacked in, retreated, so his features became barbed and furious. He was something a man she'd never seen before, and hasn't since, because that man scared her. And smiled and said that kid is dead and good riddance to him. The next day, Oswald's at his flower shop. An odious man comes in wanting to buy flowers, because apparently he missed an anniversary for his wife, and, well, she ain't happy about it. But he also explains the concept of rule of thumb, and ends up getting bitten by Oswald's bird. Oswald suggests the man perhaps go to a jewelry store and buy his wife some jewelry, as flowers may not be enough for his particular mistakes. As the man leaves, a woman enters and promptly shoots Oswald's bird. It's the woman who's been watching him. Oswald's in an interrogation room, being watched by Waller and the agent, who is noted as missing her left eye, a rather heinous-looking scar running along her, basically in the middle of where her eye should be. Waller does give the agent some words of warning. Watch his teeth, as apparently she's seen it. Waller seen him tear out men's throats, which Oswald thinks is hilarious. Agent Espinosa, however, she hears it, and, but and at this point she would like kind of a good job of bringing him in, but Waller states that when Espinosa's duty's done and the bat is in the chair, then Espinosa gets her pat on the head. Until then, she has to do her job and hit her targets. Also, she should never call Waller by her first name again. After Oswald's kept in the interrogation room for a week. A bucket for piss and shit, 3 square meals a day, and a floor to sleep on. After a week, Espinosa comes to talk to him, and Penguin states that he knows who she is. explaining that she's the Fed who uses all the profanity. They were she was with the rest of the Gotham criminals. That ridiculous, the ridiculousness, ridiculousness with Clock King, the events of Batman Killing Time. And the Riddler shot her in the face. But Espinosa states that claims that Penguin's so isn't he's a smart one. To which Penguin states that no, Edward's the smart one. Harvey's the just one, Pamela's the passionate one, Victor's the cold one, Jonathan's the scared one, Raish is the militant one, and Joker, obviously, is the crazy one. So she asks which one he is, and he says he's the fat one with the umbrella. Walk, walk, walk. But she explains she no longer curses up a storm. The gunshot to the face, she had to relearn how to walk, as well as how to talk, and one thing that she did so was weaning herself off profanity. But she also smokes and is utilizing a cigarette holder, so the cigarette's offered to Penguin. Takes a few drags before putting it out on the table. And Espinosa explains that Penguin's going to Gotham, wrench back his criminal empire by any means available. All of it. Every single repugnant sin that he charges his always hefty price for will all be controlled by Espinosa. Also, his girlfriend is being held on aiding and abetting at least 20 of Oswald's many homicides. While Espinosa knows she wasn't involved, she can convince the right judge with the wrong needle on her arm. Though she may just stroll into the girlfriend's cell right now, shoot her in the face, see if she recovers as well as Espinosa did. But Oswald simply leaves, giving directions on how to get out. And Espinosa indulges in another old habit, profanity. Penguin goes back to the tailor shop, pick up his suit, brutally beats the tailor. Apparently, Oswald had been going there since before he faked his death. And that is where the issue ends. Interesting start to things. Be interesting to see where the story ends up going. I assume this series was put out as a means of reminding readers that the Penguin exists with the upcoming Penguin HBO Max series, starring Colin Farrell, reprising his role from the Batman. Moving on to our next book, we have Batman Beyond Neo-Gothic, #2. Where we left off, disappearances were occurring in Neo-Gotham. Always around isolated, out of the way, largely unlit areas. Batman, Terry McGinnis, went into the Undercity, Old Gotham, to investigate with the help of a cat boy named Kyle. The two of them eventually ran afoul of King Croc, formerly simply Killer Croc. Lumos is doing a big show of the City of Light, while Batman fights King Croc. Terry tries to appeal to Croc with what he knows from Batman's files, but with no luck. Kyle uses a Zippo blowtorch to temporarily stop Croc, allowing Batman to escape. But while Kyle potentially is able to sniff out a way out, Batman is putting together things that Croc said, namely that the tomb is mine and closed forever. And it seems that they have to go deeper. With Batman adding that Croc's starved. The missing kids weren't a meal, and he's not at the end of the line. Seems bad that the guy before maybe got some things wrong, and well, that's when he especially has to move forward. The parents of some of the missing children are Boonma is talking to some of the parents of some of the missing children. You know, they're telling them that Batman's trying to find their kids. But then an apartment building is leveled, which leads to an earthquake. And also weakens the walls around the chamber that Croc is in, causing him to make it easier for him to attack Batman. Kyle uses a spell of sorts to seemingly to at least knock Croc out for a little while. Apparently, Terry hadn't had much experience with magic users, but they find a hole that leads further down. Terry drops a flare. Elsewhere, Boonma is arguing with Lumos about leveling of the apartment building. But Lumos states that it's all for his new city of light. Self-sufficient, instantaneous, self-powering, and permanent. Apex of Lumos' work, hard light building that houses thousands. He has it to build the future, must leave the darkness where it belongs. Meanwhile, Batman's flare has landed up at the bottom of the hole that he found, on top of a chamber marked as the tomb of owls, a sealed chamber labeled as the tomb of owls. And that is where the issue ends. Ho 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 ho, the court of owls, and apparently this dark garden as well from Brave the Bold. Moving on to our last book for the moment, we've got Dark Knights of Steel number 12, wrapping up the miniseries. Where we left off, the three kingdoms had come together, but Amanda Waller was secretly scheming with the White Martians. She has a plan, and of course the combined intelligence of the three kingdoms also have a plan. However, as there are fires in the camps surrounding the castle, the White Martians can't get in. So, Captain Cold uses his cold wand to put out the fires. The White Martians arrive with what appear to be kryptonite blades. Cal, Bruce, Diana, and Kara all fly out to battle. And our heroes lead the White Martians away, while lightning strikes the mountain, which is in fact a volcano. Bruce, Cal, and Diana, and Kara are fine, and also Kara drops a barrel of pitch on them, basically keeping Diana, Bruce, and Cal alight while they deal with the White Martians. The surviving White Martians are imprisoned in the Phantom Zone, and while Waller attempts to put her end of the scheme into play, Alfred attempts to stop her, only he's lit ablaze. As he dies, he's able to contact Bruce, not telling him what happened, just that he's dying, and sadly he dies in front of Bruce. Waller runs through Deadshot, calling him a foul traitor, explaining that Captain Deadshot was working with the aliens, and Waller discovered his treachery too late. The treaty is signed between the three kingdoms. Cal suggests that Bruce become the king, but as is his birthright. But he doesn't want to, at least not at the moment. He wants to find out. Bruce wants to find out who he is, to explore, to go where no one has heard of the bastard Bat Prince. Cal understands and states that when Bruce does realize he's worthy to lead, he will follow the Bat King. And so, the treaty is signed and a league is formed. And that is where the series ends. Honestly, I loved this book. This whole series was so great. And with Waller still being treacherous and on loose, it does seem like we should probably expect a follow-up miniseries. When, I don't know, but fingers crossed for soon. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Big shout out to Patreon patron Xander Lee. Thank you so much for your support. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.